All right, so today we're going to talk about the coronavirus. Now, the one thing that I could bring to this topic for all of you guys is certainly not medical advice. It is not an accurate representation of the statistics surrounding how this virus is permeating our media. But what I can offer is another repetition of the mindset push that we make every day here at the Jungle Gym. So, first let's get the logistics out of the way of coronavirus. Okay, from what I understand, you wash your hands, right? If you're sick, you stay home. Don't eat rats. I'm pretty sure if you look at all of the advice that you've gotten so far, it very much represents what it means to be a responsible citizen of a first world country. Clean your hands. Don't sneeze on people. If you're sick, stay home because you can get other people sick. There is nothing for me to add to that. So what it leads me to talk about is, and I quoted this, I made this comparison in an email I had sent out yesterday or the day before. The advice I give fighters. When fighters are overly concerned about getting knocked out, I tell them don't be. I can't just tell them don't be, because that's not the way anxiety and concern works. So I have to replace that bad mindset with a good one. The good mindset that I replace it with is I let them know what gets people knocked out. What gets people knocked out, Paul?
Bad habits.
Bad habits. Bad habits get you knocked out. You don't get knocked out just because the guy's faster. A lot of faster guys lose fights. You don't get knocked out just because the guy's stronger. A lot of stronger guys lose fights. Because he's more experienced. A lot of more experienced guys lose fights. You get knocked out when a bad habit creates a vulnerability that the other guy just happens to seize. Well, very similarly, whatever the case is with this situation with the coronavirus, we're going to try and replace bad habits with good ones. Sure, we're going to do everything that I had mentioned already of washing your hands and staying home when you're sick and not eating rats, right? Don't want to eat rats. But one of the things that not enough people talk about is how your mindset affects the power of your body. If you are somebody who, as soon as you get a little bit of a cough, you start telling people, "Oh, I'm not feeling good. I think I'm coming down with something. Oh, I hope this isn't the flu. I hope this isn't death." Or whatever, depending on how dramatic you want to be. You are being ignorant at a minimum if you think that type of dialogue is not affecting your body. Who here has ever heard a song or seen a scene in a movie where they felt like the adrenaline pump and the tingles just come up into their skin, right? Every white guy, Rocky, right? What do you guys have, Kev? Shot us. The point is, you see something, you think about something, you feel something. You see something, you think about something, you feel something. I would challenge each one of you to start paying attention to how life looks when you're in a bad mood. Write it down. When you know you're in a bad mood, or tell somebody close to you, "Let me know when I'm in a bad mood." And just write down how everything looks. The outlook on your day, your life, your relationships. And then when you're in a great mood, do the same thing. I guarantee you, if done honestly, it will look like two different people. We have systems in our body that have evolved to support how we feel about our circumstances. One of the greatest suppressors of our immune system specifically is something called the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response to a situation. I've spoken about this before. You've heard me use the phrase imaginary lions. That's what creates that stress, imaginary lions. I talked about the guy that was on that reality show that had AIDS back in like the 90s. And somebody had asked him, what's it like, dying from AIDS? And he said, I don't know. All I could tell you is what it's like living with AIDS. And it was a very powerful perspective because we're pattern-seeking creatures. Right? We look for patterns. We look to anticipate things. It's how, our brains have evolved. And there's a lot of science, the majority of which I am not super fluent in. But I know enough to understand that we are trying to make sense of things. But understand when something only exists in your head at an imaginary level, and you're trying to find out how that fits into your reality, you're going to make space for it. You're going to make accommodations for it. For something that does not exist. I like using this sort of mental exercise of you're with your family at a picnic, it's a beautiful sunny day, all of a sudden you look up in the sky and you have 60 seconds and this huge meteor is about to hit the earth. And you don't know much, you just know, yep, I got 60 seconds and everything's gone. I would ask, how would you spend that 60 seconds? Would you tell everybody else there's only 60 seconds left? Would you panic? Would you make a last phone call? Would you lay down, close your eyes, and just take in the sun? I don't know, rhetorical question. But how you answer situations like that tells me how you are prepared to deal with reality. I got news for you. And I don't know if you told your kids this yet, so I don't want to ruin the whole Santa thing. But everyone's going to die. Not today, though, right? Probably not tomorrow. Probably not by your doing. But absolutely, possibly, as a result of things you haven't done. You think that you can sit here worrying about everything and your body isn't going to be affected? You're not going to get an ulcer. You're not going to have migraines. You're not going to have sleep disorders. You're not going to have digestive problems, eventually immune problems. Immune problems that, like the bad habit or the vulnerability, that sometimes things seize the opportunity to exploit. From what I understand with the coronavirus right now, and I wrote this somewhere, I think on a private group on Facebook, some people are going to die. Some weak people are going to die more easily. And I say weak, meaning fragile health-wise, fragile, immune system-wise. The elderly, people that have other, pre-existing health issues and conditions. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And we can't flip a switch and stop that from happening. The only thing we can do, which happens to be the only thing we ever can do, is conduct ourselves in the most powerful way possible. One of my sayings that's out on the board there's never a reason to not be in a good mood. Only the weak mind adds suffering to circumstance. Suffering is imaginary pain that you bring to the party. Who here has ever got a shot at the doctor? Whoever didn't raise their hand, throw them out. Isn't it funny that when you're a kid, you get a shot and it's like the end of the world? And assuming you don't have any weird phobias, after a while, it's like it's a little pinch, and it's no big deal. But you got stuff to do, so you're not really just overly focused on this. If you tell a little kid, listen, you're not going to school today. Why? Because I got to go bring you to get a shot at the doctor. It's like he's got a fight at 1 o'clock. And the rest of the day, he's sitting there pacing, worrying about the shot. He sees the doctor, he starts crying in anticipation. The actual pinch of the shot takes, what, 3 seconds? But that little kid's whole day is ruined. Over 3 seconds. I would suggest if your kid has a problem, don't tell him anything. Just tell him to sit down. Oh, there's a sticker on your skin. We're going to pull it off. Hold on a second. Boop. I pulled it off. How does it feel? It's better now? Yeah? Good. Why? Because he doesn't have the ability to put it in its proper perspective. Well, as adults, we're still ruining our days over something that we might not even ever run into. I'm not going to ask this like legitimately, but rhetorically, so you guys can answer it in your head. How many of you at some point were stressing out about this coronavirus thing? Most of you broke eye contact with me. That tells me enough. He's a black belt, he can tell. It's not magic. I know that there are things I can control, there's things that I can't control. If I'm worried about trying to control things that by definition I can't control, that's mental illness. That's dysfunctional living. That's imaginary alliance. But you will find people, some of you people in this room may be part of this, people who will not do the things that they're supposed to do because they're investing, wasting energy trying to control things that they can't. So, my summary. Be strong. Strength is always better than weakness. I like using the ladder. Strength is climbing. It doesn't matter what rung you're on. Weakness is not climbing. Again, it does not matter what rung you're on. I do not do well around weakness. In my house, we don't play any of the news that's going on now in front of the kids. Why? They don't need to hear it. Think about it. Be conscious of what you're doing with your kids. You're watching these videos, trying to get information, doing the responsible thing, but the next thing you know, your son or your daughter is sitting there listening to it. They're watching you react to it. You're making faces and sounds like, oh man, that's terrible. And you don't understand that you're influencing their relationship with how to process these things. So I'll ask you, if you're weak, keep it to yourself. Don't make your kids weak too. Listen, some people, they're beyond my help. They're out of my reach. They are not only weak, but they're in a position, a mindset where they defend it. Because aside from being weak, they're also insecure. So they're the people that not only refuse to climb the ladder, they're the ones that say, oh, climbing the ladder's for jerks, for bullies. Climbing the ladder. Not everybody climbs the ladder. Oh, I know. I know. Strength is going to help you deal with any level of adversity. I don't care if it's a coronavirus. You know how many people are going to die from diabetes and heart attacks and car accidents, drunk driving, overdoses. Coronavirus free. But our minds, remember, we're pattern-seeking creatures. You cannot underestimate how much of an influence exposure to information makes it real, right? There's something called confirmation bias. You get exposed to an idea, it's in your head, you start looking for it everywhere. Next thing you know, it's like everybody's outside melting from coronavirus. It's not the way it happens. Yeah, but what if I get it? What if you get it? What if you get it? What, are you supposed to jump off a roof? Is that going to help? supposed to cry? Is that going to help? You're supposed to go blame somebody? Is that going to help? Is that going to help your kids? Is that going to help your parents? Your wife? Your husband? There's no point in this scenario where I say, okay, now you can be weak. Now it's okay to cry and be a little baby that's useless and isn't doing anything that's in his power. It doesn't happen. But what if one of my kids gets it? So? What are you going to do? You're going to cry about it? Or you're going to do whatever's in your power? At every situation, it's the only choice. And I got news for you. When it's time for you to do your job, which version of you do you want doing it? The one that thinks the sky's falling and the universe is out to get them? And how come all this bad stuff happens to me? Is the name of his autobiography? Do you want that version of you? Or do you want the version that's a crusher? That says, so what? I'm going to do my job no matter what. Because those are the people that got us here, by the way. Everybody sitting here, I don't care where you came from, you're a product of ancestors that refused to give up. Or you wouldn't be here. Thank you for listening, guys.